And he went so quickly, he went with the worst take ever after I heard your best take ever. You don't have fun. There's a lot of bowl games. More football. Enjoy them. I know you just say something. Just say that.
Frank, when you think fairway, you think fresh. Is that the winning culture you've tried to create?
Penelope Pineapple, what an unbelievable produce performance. How does your team stay so fresh?
Sunkissed Orange. Is it true Fairway has offered the freshest produce in town since 1938?
What can I say? Our produce is so fresh, we're speechless.
I thought at our age life would slow down.
Not with everything we need to coordinate.
My overtime, his basketball league,
My podiatrist and her PT,
his colonoscopy.
her allergist.
We need to be in 2 places at once, which is no problem because the Iowa Clinic has over 40 specialties all in one place. So when our doctors want to coordinate our care, they just talk to each other.
Our doctors work together to figure out the best care for us, so we can go back to our busy lives, juggling our doctors, our careers.
Our grandchild.
Care how you want it. Visit iowaclinic.com.
Yeah, media 31 exclamation point capital media 31. Yeah. Exclamation. What's going on, my friends? Welcome to pregame from up here in the Liberty Bowl press box, Iowa State and Memphis. We're under an hour until kickoff. And I thought we could have a nice little conversation here on the Cyclone Fanatic social media feeds. Feel free to put in your comments. We like to make these as interactive as possible. And interesting football game today. I've said it a lot leading up to this game, but this game has like an old school bowl feel where I think it means a heck of a lot to both of these football teams today. We'll talk about that, talk about the matchups. I want to get more into the matchups than what we've done a lot leading into this. First of all, the crowd, it's impossible to say what the crowd will be like as of now, an hour before kick. I was just talking to my guy Bill Seals over here. We think Iowa State I think Memphis will have a crowd advantage today. There's a lot of Iowa State fans down here. It's been a good showing by Iowa State fans in Memphis. It's not as many, I think, as in the past, which is to be expected. Your third time coming here in 10 years or whatever it is. Similar opponent that you've had in the past. So it wasn't the best draw, but it'll be a very respectable showing, I think, for Iowa State fans here in the Liberty Bowl. I would like to go through a bunch of your comments here, and hopefully we can break down the game with that. Starting with Big E reactions, asking, are you nervous about the depleted secondary? Good question. I wouldn't say I'm nervous because Iowa State has dealt with this a lot this year. So TJ Tampa out, as we all expected he would be. But you could put in Darian Porter there. Jontez Williams is a guy who's got a bright future, and he's played quite a bit of football for Iowa State this year. So, yeah, I mean, you're down. You don't have TJ Tampa. So, like, you can't deny that if you're taking out a NFL guy. So you've got to downgrade there. The Malik Verdon being out is a really big deal, I think, against this type of offense. I think a lot of points are scored today, frankly, on both sides. I think this is a really high-scoring game. The one question I'd have if I'm Memphis, down a couple of offensive linemen, I think skill-wise, when I've watched Memphis, they're a very high major feel to their players when it comes to skill positions, defensively, and up front. I just don't know the depth that they have on their offensive line. Those two guys that left are really good. One of them went to Texas Tech. He's already transferred. I don't know what's behind them, and it's really difficult to judge until you see it. So I think there's an aspect of today where Iowa State could actually get some pressure with 3, which would be huge. Now the question would be, right, like Memphis has got really good skill guys, and how does that secondary hold up? I think Memphis will be able to score some points too. That's my take on that. Another question here: how's the weather? It's pretty chilly down here. Not as warm as was anticipated to be. When we got this matchup, it was the long-term forecast looked like 60s. It's certainly not that. I think a high of 42 today. There's a pretty stiff breeze as well, so it's chilly for the people who are going to be hanging out and here at the Liberty Bowl. Grant, if Iowa State can generate some pressure with 3, should be a good day for the Clones. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, that's really always the key to this Haycock defense, right? And that would be the one critique you had of it this year is they didn't and weren't always able to do that. But yeah, if I'm a Memphis fan going into this game, that's my big concern. This could be a big day for a guy like Dom Orange, even if he doesn't put up the stats, right? I think that he's going to be able to take on 2-3 blockers at a time to open it up for his teammates. That would be my prediction. But again, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys and say I know that these backups, I have no idea what Memphis' 2 deeps on the offensive line looks like. They do have the offensive line coach that was at Iowa State last year, so I guess that makes me feel good about Iowa State's shot. Sorry, that was an unnecessary snark, but Iowa State's gotten much better as far as that position goes. We'll see. Joe Skate's another familiar face on this Memphis team. He really good player. I mean, he just I don't know why it didn't work at Iowa State, but he never really took that next step, and he had a good year for the Tigers. So they got really good players. And Young, who is sitting out besides TJ Tampa? Again, no opt-outs that I'm aware of. Malik Verdon will be out in the secondary. He broke his wrist late in the year. He didn't play against Kansas State either. So you're just going to see everybody's saying Skates opted out. No, he's going pro. I think he's playing in the game. His message said, see you on December 29th. So I think Skates will actually be playing back there tonight. I think. Connor, maybe look at that. Could you see if Joe Skates is out there? Yeah. As far as I know, he's playing today for Memphis. He opted to go pro, but he's playing in the football game. Even with the guys we have remaining, can Haycocks have a scheme to beat their skill guys? I mean, I think so. We see it all the time. The one thing that defense is, you really see quarterbacks get better the more they see it, and Memphis hasn't seen it much. So I'd wonder if Iowa State can, pressure early, if this is a situation where they can really confuse this young Memphis quarterback into throwing some jump balls.
Chris, I'm 99% sure he's warming up.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Connor's sitting right next to me and looked, and he believes Skates is warming up. So yeah, I thought he was playing. He just put out a release that he was going pro, but he said at the bottom, I'll see you on December 29th, which is today. Brant, he says, I've done no research on Memphis. How is their rush defense? Not good. That's where Iowa State will, I think, have a big advantage in this one today. I would guess, I'm I'm a proponent of passing and opening up the run, but I would be really shocked if Matt Campbell and Nate Shieldhouse aren't trying to get Abu Sama out wide early in this one today. I think there's going to be a lot of points. I think this game could be in the 50s. Watch, it's going to be in the teens now. I really do. I think it's going to be in the 40s, 50s, that type of a football game today. We'll see. Going through here, looking for the rest of yours. Yeah, but I really do. This is it doesn't, the result doesn't really matter to a bowl game like this, but I think with the amount of young players Iowa State has, you could really use a great performance today. And that can really bolster you as you go into next year where the expectations are going to be sky high. I interviewed Jeremiah Cooper earlier this week, and he brought up the playoff on his own. They say, I'm just telling you, that's where their head is for next year with the 12-team playoff, new Big 12. That's what Iowa State thinks. Scott wants to know if I'm telling you to take the over. I'm not telling you to make any bets. I'm not falling into that trap, buddy. But I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Grant says 38-23 Clones. I think it's somewhere like that. I don't know. The more I think about it, I think Memphis is going to be able to keep up here. I just offensively, this feels to me, this feels like the BYU game. The more I watch Memphis, where they've got very capable skill guys. I don't know if their line will hold up against Iowa State, but if you remember that game, Iowa State gets off to that hot start. BYU goes right down the field, scores on Iowa State. And we're like, this is going to be a track meet. And then Haycock makes adjustments, and you pull out. To me, that feels like how this will go. I don't know if Iowa State will win by that big of a margin as they did in that game, but this team reminds me of that BYU team. They're better. They are better than BYU. Just saying, stylistically, profile of their player, way they play, feels a lot like that. That's the best comp I can give you. Chris, with a win, we go to 8-5. Never thought you could get there after the Ohio game. Hats off to Campbell and coaches for keeping it all together and improving each week. No doubt. No doubt. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back here at halftime. Obviously, most of you people watching this are not here in Memphis. I'll be back to break down the game with you at halftime, post-game as well. One other couple people have jumped in late. My guy James out there in South Carolina asking me about the weather. It shouldn't have an impact. No, it's going to be 40 with a nice little breeze, but there was a little bit of moisture falling from the sky as we were walking to our car this morning, but it seems to have stopped doing that. Just a cold December day in Memphis, Tennessee. There's nothing else to it. So appreciate you all. Thanks to the Iowa Clinic for sponsoring pregame all year long on the Cyclone Fanatic social media feeds, and all of our great bowl sponsors as well. We'll keep doing that for you. And we'll be back at halftime. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.